Welcome to Moose Plays, everyone. I'm the Liquor Moose, and today we will be going over my Week 7 match for the 8th season of the GPC. This week we are up against Joqq, coach of the Dunfirmlinoones. Please go check out Joqq. His link will be in the description below, as well as links to all of the coaches in the GPC this season, so you can get tons of great Draft League content. So, as far as this match goes, we are coming off a very solid win against Ben. And we're basically looking to hopefully continue a winning streak because I'm desperate for some wins because the season's not going so great. I have a feeling that if I can win out, I might be able to sneak into playoffs. But currently, if I lose this one, it's not really looking good. So, yeah, we're really looking for a win. Joqq is also currently in the middle of his division as well, so he's definitely thirsty for a win as well. So he's not going to make it easy. So, starting off with this match, if you want to know specifically what I'm bringing and why I'm bringing these things, go check out my team builder. Link to that will also be in the description below. But for a quick rundown, we have Expert Belt Swords Dance Weavile with Ice Shard, Knockoff, and Low Kick. A physically defensive Toxapex with Scald, Toxic Spikes, Haze, and Recover. A physically defensive Uxie with Stealth Rock, Knockoff, U-Turn, and Ice Punch. Yeah, that sounds right. Yep. And then only 3 attacks, Megaane Electric, with no Thunderbolt, only Volt Switch, Hidden Power Grass, Overheat. Yeah, Overheat, and Toxic. And then we have, Specially Defensive Uxie with Leech Seed, Encore, Moonblast, and U-Turn. And then we have Dragon Dance, Life Orb Haxorus with Dragon Claw, Earthquake, Poison Jab. Yes. Looking at what Joqq brought to the table, he brought the Quagsire, the Bronzong, the Infernape, the Zygarde 50, the Raikou, and the Aromatisse. I'm a little surprised to see no Mega Arrow, only because it naturally outspeeds my Manectric. But at the same time, I can definitely see it. He can just as easily use a Scarf Pokemon to deal with that. Other than that, there wasn't really too many surprises I was looking at here. No Starmie, actually, was another big one, because Starmie's been working really well for Joqq this season, and I figured he'd try to continue the trend. But at the same time, again, I do have that Mega Manectric. But I did think Scarf Starmie kind of made sense to outspeed the Manectric, and then as well, the Psychic attacks would work really well for my Toxapex. But anyways, that's beside the match. If you want to know why Joqq brought the stuff he brought, go check out his channel and check out the battle for this one, or team builder, whatever he does. I'm pretty sure he does hybrid. Most coaches in this league do hybrid. But anyways, yeah, as far as lead matchups are concerned, I'm just gonna lead with my Mega Manectric, as if he leads with his not Darmanitan or Whimsicott, if he leads with the damn Infernape, then I'll get intel on whether he's Scarf or not, which is the important thing. And then if he does, if he switches out into anything else, then I will hopefully have the balls to try to Toxic. As he does go into his lead with this Infernape, I'm going to lead with my Manectric. And me, like I said, possibly I could have balls. I don't have the balls here. Volt Switch did a pretty decent chunk to this, so I thought, okay, if this isn't Scarf, then I'll get a decent chunk off of this. But no, he just goes, I Mega Evolve, and he just goes for the U-Turn. And he U-turns out into his Quagsire, I believe. Yep. And I just go for the Volt Switch because I just didn't have the balls to click Toxic. Otherwise, that would have been perfect. I thought about HP grassing here, but at the same time, I didn't really want to risk my Manectric because it's pretty valuable for stuff like his, I was pretty sure, I wasn't really sure what he wanted to go into. If he wanted to go into the Raikou, the Toxic wasn't really the play here. Also, I figured he'd try to stay in, not predicting anything, or try to scout for the HP Grass. So, as he's going to just go into his Aromatisse, definitely scouting for the HP Grass there. But I do just go for the Toxic. I didn't think I went for the Toxic, but I definitely did. So, seeing that, I'm pretty sure in his mind he thinks that I don't have HP Grass, considering I have Toxic, and instead I have HP Ice for the Zygarde. But I guess that's just luck, or however, I got him, or I spooked him, or that wasn't really the intention. The intention was just I wanted a Toxic, I wanted to throw the Toxic onto the Quagsire, as it was going to be annoying, as Hidden Power Grass couldn't OHKO it, it could only 2-hit KO it, and it could just as easily recover up. And on the off chance that for whatever reason he did decide to switch into his Zygarde, like, that thing is way too fat for HP Ices, so yeah. Anyways, so he went into his Aromatisse. I go into my Toxapex here because regardless of what he does, he's not doing much to the Toxapex, and I can just easily set up a layer of Toxic Spikes, which are huge in this matchup, especially considering that Joqq brought no hazard removal or his poison type. I'm going to switch into my Whimsicott, which is my dedicated Raikou switch-in, but he reads that pretty easily, as well as I don't have a ground type here because I don't have Landorus, as he just Volt switches out into the Bronzong, and I'm going to U-turn out seeing what he wants to do. And I'm actually just expecting him to set up his rocks. I'm going to go into my Haxorus and hopefully try to set up here as he does go for his rocks. Now here, in my prep, I watched a lot of Joqq's previous battles and noticed that he runs Aguav Berry a lot on his on his Bronzong. So with that in mind, Earthquake is a 2-hit KO from here, but Bronzong actually can't kill from here. So the problem with this is if I'm expecting Aguav Berry, Earthquake is a 2-hit KO, which knocks him into Aguav range, which then I can't knock out with an Earthquake again. So basically my play here is to Dragon Dance, because then I can guarantee get the kill on this Bronzong without having to worry about the HP on it going back up after Aguav. So I go and Dragon Dance here, as Joqq does just go for the Gyro Ball, and that's not going to kill me. It does a good chunk though, as I'm going to fire off the Earthquake, but like we see here, the Bronzong is actually Shuca Berry and not Aguav Berry like I thought it would be, so my Haxorus basically goes down for nothing, which is really unfortunate. However, what this does do is basically grant a free switch into my Weavile, and I was so close to clicking Swords Dance here, because if you watch my team builder, Swords Dance Weavile just goes in on Joqq's team, straight up. But at the same time, I really didn't want to risk the off chance that for whatever reason Joqq, like if Joqq decides to let this go down, then I didn't want to risk the Swords Dance and then him just clicking Gyro Ball and outright killing Weavile, because Weavile is way too valuable in this matchup. So I was so close to clicking that, and then also he has the Quagsire, which is more than likely unaware. I'm not really too sure yet. It could be Water Absorb to try to handle the Toxapex a little bit better, but I'm pretty much expecting he's unaware, because that's a pretty standard thing to run on Quagsire. So I just go for the knockoff here, because I just couldn't risk Joqq letting Bronzong go down and then just killing my Weavile, as he does go into the Quagsire instead. So the Swords Dance play didn't really matter, because this is more than likely unaware. I'm just going to switch out into my Uxie to try to get up my rocks, as we do see that Joqq does just click recover on his Quagsire. Excuse me. Oh, jeez. Excuse me again. And again, I'm just going to set up my rocks as he reveals the Acid Spray. And this is interesting to me. So this is strictly only coverage for Whimsicott, because if he's unaware Quagsire, unaware ignores both offensively and defensively all stat changes from your opponent, whether they're positive or negative. So Acid Spray actually doesn't do any more, or doesn't do more damage than that on this. So really he was giving me a little bit of information here. But anyways, I do decide to U-turn out into my Toxapex, because if he does go for the Acid Spray again, it's not doing too much, and it can eat up Scalds. As I believe I take this opportunity to set up my final layer of Toxic Spikes, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, as Joqq actually goes for the Earth Power, and I think this is where he realized that the unaware boost doesn't work even at -2, or unaware negates defensively my negative stat changes, because that Earth Power did not nearly enough to what I'm sure he wanted it to do. So I'm just going to go for Recover, get up to a good amount of health, and I believe Joqq does the exact same here. And yeah, I believe I switch out here into my... No, I predict him to go for Scald instead of Acid Spray. And I go out into my Whimsicott, or at least Scald or Earth Power. And unfortunately, he goes for Scald and gets the burn, but that isn't that big of a deal, as we do have Leech Seed on this specific Whimsicott. But I'm going to try and Encore him into Scald, expecting him to try to go for the Acid Spray, but he does instead switch out into the Aromatisse, which is a little unfortunate. But that gives me a perfect opportunity to get a little bit more HP back by Leech Seeding this Aromatisse, which is exactly what I'm going to do, as I believe Joqq just goes for the Heal Bell here, healing up, or no, he goes for the Wish, right. So I'm going to U-turn out on whatever he decides to wish into, because the pretty obvious wish play here, like the pretty obvious receiver of this wish is the Bronzong. However, the only attacking move I have on my Whimsicott is Moonblast, and Moonblast just isn't doing anything to to a Bronzong, especially if he's Spadef, like I anticipate him to be because of my Landorus. So I just decided to U-turn out instead of going for Moonblast here. I probably could have just double Leech Seeded here, but I wanted to play it slightly more safe. I go for the U-turn, try to pressure this offensively even after the wish, and I wasn't really sure how much HP the Bronzong would get back on the wish. So to play it safe, I just go into the Toxapex to see if I can catch a Scald Burn basically on this. Unfortunately, I do not, as we do see that Joqq reveals the Earthquake on his Bronzong. I assume just for this, or I guess the Mega Man Electric as well, because I believe I'm going to fire off another Scald as he's going to basically get free momentum in with his Raikou here. The Raikou is a huge issue when prepping, but yeah, so I get a little bit of chip on this as we see the Raikou gets chipped down more and more. I'm going to switch out here, not wanting to risk, and go into my Whimsicott, which again is my dedicated switch into this Raikou. Now here I'm going to try and Leech Seed this Raikou to try to get a little bit more recovery back, as Thunderbolt is a rolled kill and Volt Switch doesn't kill. But again, he just goes for the Volt Switch, and that puts me in an unfortunate spot because I don't get any recovery back. But at the same time, this Infernape is also going to get a little bit chipped down, which is even better for the late game. As I, once again, I just do, like, I couldn't really, like, this is a pretty free U-turn for Joqq since it does kill, and, like, I couldn't really do anything since I know that this is Scarfed, and if I don't click Leech Seed, then I'm doing nothing. So I click Leech Seed here just for the off chance that he doesn't click U-turn and stays in, and then my next, whatever I send in next can get Leech Seed. But he does go into this Bronzong here, which once again gives me a relatively free switch into Weavile, and I'm just going to click the knockoff button, and I know it doesn't do a whole lot to, geez, I can't think of, it doesn't do a whole lot to the Quagsire, but I believe with the health, I believe my reasoning for that, though, was, with the health that the Quagsire was at, knockoff plus Icicle Crash was, like, I think it was a roller kill. I think, but don't quote me on it. I don't. The match was a little bit ago. I don't usually record like a few days after. I normally record right after, but I just didn't have the time to. I'm sorry. But yeah, I believe that was the reason. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, I just fired off the knockoff, and Joqq actually lets this Bronzong go down, and it was actually because he thought that the Bronzong could live, because basically based on the damage that his Quagsire took, but he doesn't know that I'm Expert Belt. So that was the reason why that play happened. But yeah, after that, Joqq just goes into Infernape, and this is probably the freest U-turn of Joqq's life. But I still have to go into my Toxapex, which is my dedicated Infernape switch in, as he goes for the Raikou once again. Okay, we're back. Sorry, I skipped ahead too much, and like I just kept stumbling over my words, so I decided to cut. But anyways, so here, it's a pretty important turn because I decided to click Recover here because I was pretty sure that he was Timid Magnet, but I just wanted to be absolutely sure. If he's Timid Magnet, it's a roll to kill from here, but with how far back I am in this game, I feel like it's a roll I have to take, because even with the Scarf Infernape in the back, I can still kind of check it with the Uxie, and then even at that, in the late game, I can still try to pressure the Zygarde with my Weavile. But yeah, so I decided to try to risk the roll and just go for the recover, and hopefully I can get the roll. And as we see here, we do get the roll. That's pretty new for me in the GPC, is getting rolls. But yeah, so this Raikou's going to get whittled down a little more, and here I do switch into my UC, as I do want to keep, after this, I do want to keep my Toxapex at a little bit healthier range for the Infernape, as Joqq does Volt Switch into his Zygarde on this, and I was perfectly fine with this because I built my UC to deal with the Zygarde, so I was perfectly fine with this. I can't let him set up in my face for absolutely free, so I do click the Ice Punch here, and I get a crit. So obviously, like, crits are tilting. I personally, we didn't really talk about this specific crit too much after the match, but I don't think this crit mattered. As we see, he wasn't Yachi Berry, so he wasn't a damage reduction berry, but he was at 88%, and I did 64 with my Ice Punch, which means I would have done 32 without the crit, and then without the crit, and then the 12% that it takes from Toxic, and then another Ice Punch, and then another Toxic, another turn of Toxic. The Zygarde would have died anyways. So he couldn't. So knowing that, there was no way he could set up on this, or like set up in front of my face. He has to go for an attacking move, and I actually don't die to any attacking move here. So even though like obviously crits are tilting, and I obviously said I was sorry, but like there's nothing I can really do about it. I really don't think that Ice Punch crit mattered because it was a 2-hit KO with Ice Punch plus Toxic damage anyways, so I really don't think it mattered. Anyways, after that he goes into his Infernape, and again, this is a pretty free U-turn on Joqq's part, and I decided to let him get negative momentum as he does go into his Quagsire, and now I think, so seeing that way back in the first few turns that he scouted for the HP Grass on my Mega Manectric here, I'm actually going to fire, the HP Grass from my Mega Manectric, Jesus. I'm going to fire it off as he wasn't expecting it. Obviously, he thought I had HP Ice for the Zygarde based on the first turn damage, I assume. So yeah, he goes into his Infernape here, as again, that Earthquake does nothing if he's Choice Scarf. That's an easy recover for me. As he, I believe, is going to switch into his Aromatisse, yeah. So at this point, this is where the battle's going to get a little long. I think I'm gonna increase it to normal speed actually for you. But yeah, at this point, we're basically trading Moonblast and Scalds and Wishes. I believe, yeah, here I try to go into the Manectric, try to catch him off guard. But yeah, he does just go for the Heal Bell instead. And unfortunately, since I'm not carrying Thunderbolt, I can't really 2-KO this, so I'm just gonna go for a Volt Switch. And this is where these plays get. Or this is where these turns like just go back and forth really long. So basically, my game plan for this was I actually need to. Fun fact, also, me getting the burn here was pretty bad. Like I can't toxic this Aromatisse since my Toxapex is not carrying Toxic. Jesus, that was a kind of a tongue twister sentence. But yeah, so anyways. My goal here, I need to stall him out of Moonblast, because actually at the range that my Weavile and my Mega Manectric are at, I can't switch them into both Rocks plus Moonblast, as any of them will die. So basically, my goal here is either to A, stall him out of Moonblast, and B, to try to whittle him down to a range where I can try to catch him on a switch. And basically, like, he's only revealed 3 moves here. He's only revealed so far Wish, Moonblast, and Heal Bell. So basically, his last move could be one of 2 things. He could be Protect, which would be pretty standard, but also he could be Calm Mind, just like as trying to be the late game bulky setup sweeper. So basically, I have to either hope, but I mean, at the same time, if he had Calm Mind, I guess he probably could have clicked a few of them here. Actually, maybe not, just because I have Haze. But regardless, I have to stall him out of Moonblast or get him at a range where I could try to catch him on a turn where he goes for Wish and pressure offensively with my Mega Manectric, and basically hope he doesn't have Protect. That's the goal here, and I believe it's here. Yes, so I get the crit here, which means that here he basically has to go for Wish. So I am actually going to switch into my Mega Manectric here, try to catch him on the turn he goes for Wish, and basically try to hope that he doesn't have Protect. So I'm going to click Overheat here as we see the burn damage, but it turns out his Aromatisse does have Protect. Which is really unfortunate, as I would have really liked to try to get this Aromatisse out of the way. So I'm just going to Volt Switch back into Toxapex, and basically the same deal goes on for a long time. Us trading like Moonblast, Scalds, Wishes, Recovers, Hazes for me, because again, I want to save Scalds specifically for the Infernape, and then at the same time, I need to save Recovers for my healing. So I have to, at some point, also click Haze, even to get rid of just negative stat drops on either his part or my part. And then, yeah, I basically need to save both Scalds and Recovers. So we're basically going back and forth with this for quite a few turns. And yeah, it's basically, there's a point in here where I go for random Toxic Spikes, and I don't know if Joqq actually realized that I was trying to stall him out of Moonblast. More than likely he did. But either way, there's a turn. It's coming up soon, I know, so I won't bother skipping. I believe it's turn 56, so I guess we'll wait just a bit. There's not too much more to go. Yeah, I go for Haze here, and I believe Joqq just goes for the Wish. Yeah, because then I go... Yeah, so I go for Recover here as he gets his Wish back, and then I go for Toxic Spike, seeing that I'm actually running low on both Scalds and Recovers, and then I just wasn't really in the mood to click Haze just randomly. So I go for Toxic Spikes, and here, this is where Joqq gets impatient, so I'll go back to the regular speed that I normally go at. And yeah, Joqq gets impatient and goes into his Raikou, catching me on a Recover that I click here. No, sorry, I click Haze to get rid of my special attack boost, or drops, because one of the things that I wanted to try with the hazing is that, is to try to increase back the damage that I could deal to Aromatisse with Scalds. But then I realized I was running out of Scalds, so I had to go like somewhere between like Recovers, Hazes, and Toxic Spikes, because again, my goal there was to basically run Aromatisse out of Moonblast, because it's the only way that my Weavile and my Megaane Extra can survive attacks. So here, once again, this roll is more so in my favor than last time. As we saw, I could live it last time, so I have to click Recover again, and then after that Raikou will die to Poison, and hopefully I should be fine, but I mean, what else is new, right? Oh man, so with my Toxic Spikes gone, I really cannot check this Infernape, and the 50-50 really does not matter here, since I can't OHKO the Aromatisse with anything I had. Basically, my only hope was that he went Infernape and I had to crit Ice Shard here, and then hopefully that the 2-on-1 I can kill the Aromatisse, but as you can see, I don't get the crit on Ice Shard, and yeah. The Scarf Infernape is just going to be able to clean up from here, and yeah, that's GG from Joqq, for Joqq, I guess, as unfortunately, Toronto Razor Leafs pick up another 2-0 loss. Yeah, this season just has not, it just has not cooperated with me. The one thing I will say about the season, though, is that all of my losses, barring my match against Josh, all of my losses have been extremely competitive. They've been really down to the wire, and like they come down to some rolls or whatever. So that's the one thing I'll say about that. But it's really unfortunate that we got the loss here, as we can't build off the momentum we got in the previous week against Ben. And yeah, playoffs are looking pretty bleak. Depending on how depending on how other matches go, I might not be eliminated, but I might be. I am not entirely sure. But yeah, that loss was kind of a blow to the heart, because had my Toxic Spikes survived that Thunderbolt, like to be fair, it was still a roll to kill, but it was more heavily in my favor at that time than it was the first time I lived the Thunderbolt roll. So I mean, like, he could have gotten the high roll. We never know. I mean, Hacks just kind of puts out the actual game. Like, it's Pokemon. It's gonna happen. But yeah, so again, GG to Joqq. Go check out his channel. Link will be in the description. Next week, we are back to divisional games. Interdivisional period is done, and we are facing off against Gareth, the commissioner of the league, coach of the Passimi Angers, and yeah, his team. I thought this matchup was bad. The next Gareth's matchup against me is like way worse, But yeah, keep your eye out on the channel next week for that video, and keep your eye out tomorrow for yeah, fuck it, PDL's coming back. Draft analysis tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.